Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar with Priya Padham, otherwise known as the amazing Datafam Thoughts team. My name is Sophie Sparks. I'm the community manager here at the Information Lab, and it's just lovely to have you join us today for this turning the spotlight on the interviewer's interview. If you'd like to ask Adam and Priya any questions, or if you'd just like to say hi, please drop your questions into the chat box, and I'll be looking at them, and so will Adam and Priya, and during this webinar. And if you would like to say hi, I'm sure please do as well. I see a few people on there. It's great to have people joining us in from all around the world. So we've all got our cameras on, so I'm going to turn off this slide share and we'll get started. Now, hopefully everyone is already familiar with Adam and Priya, but if you're not, Adam is the Tableau Evangelist at Keyrus, and he's also a Tableau ambassador. Among his many other things he has done. Priya is a Tableau Public Features author from 2020, when she sort of came out as one of the new best new Tableau users of 2020, and she's a Tableau Public ambassador and is currently a trainee data analyst and one of my colleagues here at the Data School and Information Lab. So Adam and Priya, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us. In unison.
Now, perfect. Now, people may know you better as the Datafam Thoughts duo. So you have interviewed 22, I think, or more people as part of the Tableau community. And what we'd like to do today is get a little bit of your thoughts on what you've learned from doing all these interviews, especially because you don't always interview just the Tableau Zen masters or ambassadors. So you have quite a wide spread of people you talk to as part of the community. Now, before we get started from that, I'd like to, if you guys could both tell me a little bit more about yourselves, specifically how you started your Tableau Viz journeys.
Sounds good. I'll start since I've been doing it for a very long time. So back in 2014, I was introduced to a tool at work. So I was working on web edit for like a year, which really sucked, especially back then because Tableau server isn't what it is today. But I was able to get reports and stuff out, and I was super excited about what you could do with the tool, even though it was very limited based on just using web edit from the server. However, in 2015, I received a Tableau a desktop license, so I was able to do a lot more stuff and collaborated with teams at work to basically re-engineer our metrics. So it took a couple years because we had to do a lot of data stuff, and it was super fun. But then I became a dashboard administrator and a server co-admin as well, and I was doing that for several years, and it was all in a silo. Most of the time I was just kind of checking out, I wasn't part of the community or anything, so I was just kind of checking out blogs. Andy Kriebel was a big one I would check all the time for tips and so forth, because if I was stuck on something, I knew he would probably have something up on YouTube or whatnot that would help me out. So in 2019, that's kind of where my journey actually started, because I was looking out. I reclassed to the top position I could reclass to at work. So I was kind of bored and I needed something to inspire me. So I wanted to try to give back as well. So I started with Tableau Magic's Facebook group. So Tuan Wang, he had an awesome Facebook group with thousands and thousands of members. And then I was there for a couple months and helping out with that. And he suggested I join the Datafam on Twitter. I wasn't super stoked about that because I wasn't a big Twitter guy. But right after I started, I knew it was a place for me, and that was August 2019. I knew that's where my journey actually began. So everything kind of changed pretty quickly right after that.
Fantastic. And while you've been talking, I've been sort of looking down. It's because I'm trying to get all of these links you're mentioning so I can post them up into the comments after and put them up on when this video goes online. So sorry if you see my eyes jumping up and down. Now, Priya, can you tell me a little bit about how you started with your Tableau journey?
Yes, so my Viz journey started on March 3rd, 2020, and that's a very special date for me. And that's the day that I installed Tableau and when I started working on my application for the data school. And I can honestly say I was addicted to Tableau ever since that moment. And that same month, I also joined Twitter and started participating in Makeover Monday. And that was to build my portfolio on Tableau Public and get feedback on Makeover Monday Viz Review. And that really helped me so much. And just kind of being part of the community was a massive part of my journey, and it still is. And I really learned so much from the community as well. And yeah, my journey is quite short. It only started fairly recently. So that's kind of my summary. And yeah, right now I'm still at the data school and I'm on my second placement there as well. So that's kind of my Viz journey in a nutshell.
That's one thing I really love about having you two together, working together, is you come from a very different sort of timelines and how long you've been using the tool. So I think it must be great to have two different perspectives on all the things you talk about. I know, for instance, Adam, I started using the tool quite a long time ago, maybe not quite as long as you, but things have changed a lot. And so it's great talking to people who've started using the tool more like recently, because they understand things so much differently to how I do. So how did you guys meet to start collaborating on Data Viz Thoughts?
Good question. So right away, I took a break from the community right during the beginning of the pandemic, and then I came back and noticed Priya's work right away. It really stood out to me, and I was thinking she was a natural right away, and as somebody I wanted to connect with. So I just noticed how active she was with the community and how many people that she inspired already, and I could tell that she was just starting out. So I wanted to work with her, and around that time or shortly thereafter, I had her do a guest blog. I believe, was it on your Viz of the Day, Priya?
Yeah, I kind of showed my behind the scenes process of how I made it.
Yeah. So I loved the blog, and she had so many great ideas as far as what we could do, and actually introduced me to Grammarly, which helped me quite a bit. In addition to that, she was we became close friends really quickly. So I wanted to work with her as a mentor because I knew that she had great potential, and I knew that she was going to go far with or without me, but I wanted to help it be a little easier on her during that process. So we started working a lot together, and then it naturally kind of evolved to her co-editing to the blog, because she had a lot of great ideas for people to talk to, and also questions to ask and so forth. So those are things that made it really easy for me to work with her in kind of a natural process.
And that's so you guys sort of have an official mentor-mentee relationship, or is it now much more collaborative, or both?
I would consider it a little bit of both. I'm helping her on some things as a coach, but we won't get into that now. But mostly it's collaborative at this point. I respect her insights as a person, more of a collaborator. I think she kind of graduated the mentorship at this point in most parts, but we can go back and forth with each other and feedback and so forth. And it's so as far as it being more collaborative than mentor-mentee relationship, I would say it's more collaborative at this point.
Yeah, and it definitely was kind of a natural progression as well. And the kind of idea to get me involved on the blog really helped me to actually meet more people, because I was so new and shy and a bit nervous to actually talk to people. Adam knows, that's why he's smiling. So yeah, it just really helped me to kind of break out of my shell a bit and meet people and get to know them on a personal level. And it really, really helped me in my journey as well.
It's great to see you guys have such a good relationship online, like off the blog pages, as well as what it comes across in your blog. So you both talked a little bit about introducing Adam to Grammarly. I'm guessing that probably helped his interviewing experience as well. And I've mentioned that you interview people that aren't necessarily just the Zen Masters or Tableau ambassadors. So can you tell me a little bit about why you started interviewing the sort of wide range of community members? And what did you think you'd have to learn from doing all these interviews?
Sure, and I guess I can quickly mention, before we collaborated together on Datafam Interviews, I was doing this a year up until that point. So I did interview a lot of people prior to that, but what she was able to add to the team and so forth and new perspectives was super helpful, and that's where that even made it better. But as far as bringing in new people, everybody pretty much knows all there is to need, and they need to know about most Zen masters or ambassadors and so forth. So it's very important for us to showcase talented people in our community that don't get the recognition they deserve. So it's great to give them the spotlight, to encourage them to continue, and also make people aware of what they're doing and how awesome their work is and how they can be an inspiration regardless of having a title.
That's a brilliant sentiment. So thank you so much, Adam and Priya, for all the work you're doing to highlight the wider range of the Tableau community. So I've mentioned you've done as a team, you said 22 interviews, and Adam, more before Priya joined the Datafam interview section. Are there any common themes you've pulled out from these, from all of these interviews? And if they are, what are they? What can we learn from them?
So I've kind of noticed that their kind of initial maybe job roles beforehand, or maybe their kind of educational background doesn't actually relate to data visualization or data analytics. So that's kind of interesting. I think, Adam, have you noticed that as well? That is kind of, it's just interesting to kind of see what led people to the same kind of path that we are all on as well. And yeah, it's kind of interesting to see the different degrees that end up going into data visualization. What do you think, Adam?
I think basically the same. It just it doesn't matter where you start. Somehow people find our community. It's just like a calling card our community has to people that are interested in art or interested in analytics and want to do something with a little bit of both. And it doesn't matter where a person comes from initially. It's just that it can be a very long and winding path to get to that point. It was for me. I started my career as an adjudicator, so I'm making decisions on unemployment claims. So very different than this. So a lot of people come from like backgrounds where they just you would never imagine them ending up as a data visualizer or anything related to that. So it's really cool to see that and see what our community brings as far as it just shows how inclusive we are. So I'm proud of that.
Yeah, and everyone's journey is just so unique, and yet something has actually led them to the community. And it's just fascinating to learn about each individual's experiences and kind of their life before Tableau and after Tableau. And yeah, it's just really fun to get to know everyone on a personal level like that.
And I guess another theme that I see a lot is that the people that we tend to interview and the people that get the most from the community are the people that give back the most and participate the most and bring others up the most. So it's really cool to see what they do and how that is able to impact them. So oftentimes if you're mentoring somebody or working with people or celebrating people, you tend to get better yourself because you learn new tools and tricks along the way because you're reaching out to people and talking to people and extending your skill set. And another theme is that people need to be kind of open to feedback. Those that are most open to feedback and are more humble about their approach and so forth get the most done as far as their ability to upskill in data viz and be more of a community member as opposed to I think you have a limited ceiling if you don't do that. And the people we tend to interview are people that are more on the humble side and approach it as a student. Like I'll be a student for the rest of my life, and Priya probably would say the same. And I believe that's the case for most people in our community, at least the people we interviewed.
Those are some great commonalities and takeaway messages there, which is be involved in the community. But Priya, you said you were quite shy, and Adam's really helped bring you out of your shell. Adam, lots of those tips you gave, especially being open to feedback and be involved in the community, sort of share your work or your questions. That can be quite nerve-wracking for people to hurdle for people to first start. Do you have any tips to maybe help people get over that initial stumbling block of fear of what will happen if I put this out there?
Right. I think Priya could answer that even better given her background. But as far as Priya and helping her get over that hurdle, I worked with a bunch of people that talk with people in our community, so she's more comfortable speaking with a number of people in our community one-on-one and getting to know them behind the scenes or behind the avatar. So it helped curb some of that scarediness or shyness because she got to meet people and talk to people and have conversations with people and not just see them behind the avatar are very difficult to look at visas and not be intimidated. So that was part of the thing for Priya. I think that may have helped her the most get over some of her shyness. And she's always put a step forward. She's always moved forward and not stayed still. So part of my job is encouraging her to put that foot forward and never stop walking forward. So sometimes it puts yourself in scary situations, but for her, it helped her out a lot.
Yeah, definitely that kind of push helps. Sometimes to get over your nerves and your fear, you just have to do it. So for example, I remember I was afraid to even post visit on LinkedIn. I don't know why, but Adam he just kind of said, just do it. And I did it. And then I don't even know why I was afraid now, but it's just kind of, I guess, just kind of showing your work to more people can be a bit daunting. So honestly, just kind of do it and put yourself in more uncomfortable situations, and then that will become more comfortable. And then you find another uncomfortable situation. And that's just really helped me to kind of grow, even if it is scary at the time.
And I wouldn't encourage people to do that normally because it could put you in a bad situation. But our community is super different, meaning that our community provides, it's all support. People aren't fighting against you. You're not going up on stage and people are looking at you and being like, I hope this person fails. Everybody wants the best out of everybody in our community. And that's what I noticed. And that's a common theme. So basically pushing somebody out there and having them do something and share something with the community is not as dangerous as it would normally seem, especially on social media where you have a bunch of trolls and so forth. We don't really have that in our community, fortunately. So it's a lot easier to encourage people to share their work, even if their work needs improvement. But in order to get there, you have to consistently do it and work hard towards certain goals to get better as data visualizer, better as a writer, and so forth.
Some good advice there. I know that's something I find quite nerve-wracking because you can put everything in a post and it's like have to hit send. You just sit there for ages. And you kind of hit it, and I put my hands over my eyes and go, okay, it's done. But yeah, if you do it more, then it becomes less intimidating. So sort of following on from that, you guys have mentioned some key habits. So Priya, like just taking the next step forward and doing that, that you've taken away from doing these interviews, but also what are maybe some key habits that you've either taken away or wish you've started doing earlier from the people you've talked to? Should I start this with Priya this time?
Yeah, so I would say, I guess something that I always try to remind myself is viz what you love and to kind of just do what you want to do and what makes you happy. And then that will help you to also learn more and do more. So that's something that a lot of people have said, including Zach as well, who I will mention later on too. But yeah, that's something that's really important to me. And also the fact that it's really important to compare yourself to your past self and aim to improve on that. I've seen that kind of come up in a few people's interviews, and that's so important as well. And to just kind of keep trying with that self-improvement and to kind of better yourself as well.
And I also agree with that. In addition to that, I think taking part consistently as consistently as possible in community projects like Makeover Monday is super helpful for growth and quicker growth. The thing that's really cool about Makeover Monday is that the data sets are already clean and prepared. And it's great for somebody that's pretty much just starting out with data visualization to not only do work and be able to work on something new each week, but also compare what others are doing and see what others are doing. In addition to that, with the Watch Me Viz and all the tools associated with it, a person who's involved with Makeover Monday can't really help but improve their skills at a rapid pace. Or any initiative like Project Health Viz, Iron Quest, and so forth, real world fake data, for example. If you're involved in consistently working on initiatives, you'll upskill. And I think a lot of people that we talk to have upskilled the quickest by working consistently on initiatives. Because you're no longer working in a silo. So if you're working at work, you're just doing the same thing over and over again and not really getting any feedback. You're just building to requirements. You're not really extending your skill set as a designer or anything like that. So being part of those projects and consistently working on those projects are things that are super helpful for people.
There's two great tips there. And sort of some more tips and following on from that in a way is you guys are great Viz buddies. Do you have any like tools or podcasts? Priya, I think you mentioned something by Zach, or other resources that you would recommend to some of your other visualization buddies that they should check out? And if so, what are they?
Yeah, so in terms of Zach Bowders, he has the Data Plus Love podcast, and it's just super fun, and it allows you to kind of learn more about a person and kind of how they are behind the viz as well. And he's a really great host, so I highly recommend that. And I'd also recommend just a little plug, the Data School blog. I always find when I Google a Tableau question, it's always one of the first search results. So I highly recommend that too. And the Flurlage twins, Kevin and Ken Flurlage, they have an amazing blog. It has tutorials, guest blogs, templates, and I'm always referring back to that as well. So I'd highly encourage people to check that out if you haven't already as well.
So yeah, of course, the Flurlage twins, because they are probably the most referenced. They definitely are the most referenced blog when we ask people about their resources that they use the most frequently. Part of it is that they provide good information on best practice. They provide information on tools that you could use in association with Tableau to make your viz even better. They're really on top of new features. So that's super helpful for a lot of people. A couple other people, because a lot of people are looking at YouTube tutorials and so forth, I came up on Andy Kriebel. So basically stalking his YouTube tutorials at upskill and get better at stuff that I was doing. Another couple is Tableau Tim, who's really good at providing keen insights, especially on the newer features and great things beyond that. And also SQL Bell, so Donna Bell Santos, she has a great YouTube tutorial site that not only goes into Tableau, but goes into SQL as well. But I think more of the focus recently has been on Tableau. So those are a couple things that I would highly encourage people to look at. And finally, the Datafam weekly roundup. So there's no landing site or anything for that. It's just part of the community blog. So what I would reference to you is between 5 and 6 p.m. British time on Fridays, Tableau tweets out the Datafam roundup blog. So it combines the best blogs, YouTube tutorials, Vizas, not necessarily Visa days, and other resources, including community initiatives. So I highly encourage people to check out Twitter or LinkedIn between 5 and 6 p.m. British time on Fridays to check that out. And Attican deserves a lot of credit because she's the one that puts everything together, and it's really good every single week with a lot of great representation.
Trying to drop all those links you mentioned into the chat there, guys. So hopefully I've got them all. And as Adam said, the last one, which is the weekly Datafam roundup, which comes out Friday afternoons, evenings UK time. Adam, it'll be coming out Friday mornings for you in the US. that doesn't have a link, but do, as you said, keep your eyes. Maybe you can set yourself a reminder to check out the Tableau Twitter feed every Friday for that.
And it comes directly from Tableau. So the Tableau, so Tableau's official Twitter and Tableau's official LinkedIn. So it's easy to make sure that you keep your eye out in that, because it only mainly comes from one source outside of those of us that retweet it all the time.
Great shout out there to the Tableau community team. They do an amazing job. We'll have to tag them in when this video goes out, so they know how much they're appreciated. And we've only got a few minutes left. This is quite a short interview, because I know, Adam, you've got to get your day started and get to work. It's what, 6:30 in the morning for you?
About 7 now.
About 7. Okay, that's a little less disgusting than 6:30, but only just. So we'll start to wrap this up. If anyone watching has any questions, can you drop them into the chat box for Adam and Priya? This recording will go out afterwards as well, so you can re-listen to it and catch any links you may have missed. I'll send that out in about a day's time, and we'll also tweet it out so everyone can find it on Twitter. But Adam and Priya, you've got a current call out for nominations for your next set of interviewees. You've sort of mentioned you are looking for people who maybe aren't as heard of as much in the community, so upcoming stars opposed to sort of the established ambassadors and Zen masters. But maybe you could give us a word, give some people a word of encouragement, especially if anyone on this call wants to nominate themselves. Yeah, give everyone a bit of a boost to try and get people to sign up if they've got that last stumbling block of not sure if they are worthy of doing it.
Well, I guess I don't consider this something that's worthy or not worthy. It's just something about what you're bringing to the community. Because as far as having a title as an ambassador, Zen Master, we know who all those are. But we want to find people that we don't see so much on the surface, and what people who need more love and so forth from our community, because there are so many people doing great work. And if you're constantly helping others out, shouting people out, and contributing with visas or blogs or whatnot, we would love to interview you and talk to you more. Your thoughts, Priya?
Yeah, and everyone has their own unique story to tell, and we want to hear your story. No matter if you've only been part of the community for maybe a few months or a year or more, we want to hear what you have to say and about what you're doing. So please do get in touch with us, and we'd love to hear about you as well.
So everyone on this webinar, there you go. You've been set a challenge. Please do nominate yourselves or somebody else for, and then you could have an interview by Adam and Priya. Now we're just coming up to time. I haven't seen any questions drop into the chat. So
it looks like Modar had his hand raised, so he didn't ask the question yet. So no. Modar, if you have a question, feel free to drop it in the chat.
Yep, I could also, Modar, unmute you if you'd rather speak instead of talk. So you can put your hand up again, and if you have a question.
Or just hit us up on Twitter or LinkedIn, and we could answer your questions.
And I will also drop both of your Twitter handles links into the chat. Just make that easy for everyone to find you guys. Perfect. Well, looks like we do have a question. What do you like most about working with each other on interviews? Priya, do you want to start with this one?
So because we're friends, it's just like working on a fun project with a friend. I mean, that's kind of like the best project to have, I would think. So yeah, and you get to be creative, and you get to kind of discuss things together. And yeah, it's just, I always kind of think working on a project with someone that you're close to just makes it more enjoyable as a whole as well. What do you think, Adam?
It's okay, I guess. No, I'm kidding. No, Priya's a lot of fun to work with, because we have a lot of similarities in our thought process. However, we have a lot of differences in our approaches. So it's really good to see how each other can lift each other up to make a better interview for our guest. So basically, before Priya, I was running a little stale, and I felt it. So it was exciting to have somebody new. but she continues to bring that approach, and she has a unique and creative insight into how to ask questions with certain people, and it's really fun to get that and get something I wouldn't think of my own. So it's, if you work with somebody that you collaborate with well, the product is always better in the end run, because you have a little bit of each other and kind of the best of both worlds. We'll say London and Madison, Wisconsin.
And we've got a question from Sean. He asks, how do you grade yourself on a visualization to make sure that the data is easy to understand for somebody else, aside from asking other people? And I think that's probably the best way to do it. But do you guys have any other sense checks that he could take his visualization through?
So for me, I feel like taking a step back for a second, because sometimes when you're kind of lost in the busying world, you may kind of lose sight of, why is that chart there? Should it even be there? Should I change it to something else? Kind of taking a step back and then looking at it again and actually assessing, is this chart adding to the story? Is it actually explaining anything? Would someone looking at this be able to understand what it's saying straight away? Should it maybe be changed to something else? It's just kind of making it as easy as possible for the viewer to understand what you're trying to say, because if it's more difficult, then it's not really fulfilling its purpose, I would say. So I think also, I know you said apart from asking people, but I would also ask people too, because especially people who might not be in our kind of data visualization world, maybe a family member, and if they can't really understand it, then maybe that can give you something to work on as well.
And another thing I would add is that if you don't feel the need to release a visualization the same day that you create it, so a lot of people release their data visualizations on Sunday because the data set for Makeover Monday comes out on Sunday. But sometimes if you sleep on it, wake up the next day, you could look at it with a brand new set of, a fresh set of eyes, and that fresh set of eyes could be more objective, because as you're working through it, you don't catch everything. And when you wake up the next day, you see something before you publish, and it's like, why did I do this? Why did I do that? And each element of your data visualization, it's good to ask the question, why is this here? Does it need to be here? And if it doesn't need to be here, consider whether or not it should remain on the visualization. So that's a good way to grade yourself. So a good example is colors. So you have a bar chart with like 6 dimensions representing measures. And if you have a color for every single dimension that's completely different, and you're coloring by dimensions, you have to ask yourself, why am I using all this color? And if it doesn't make sense to use all that color, then you have to kind of go back to a drawing board and say, what would other people tend to do in this situation? Should I look up something to tell me what the best practice is for measures and so forth? And those are things that you could do to make sure that you could, first of all, grade it yourself and improve while you're creating.
There's a great. I love that sleep on it tip, Adam. That's a good one that anyone can do at any time. I've just been trying to get a good link to the Datafam weekly roundup, but that's just on the Tableau blog. So everyone, I think the best way is just to check out Twitter for you. Perfect. So Adam, we should let you get to work. Thank you guys both so much for having this chat with us today, and it's been just lovely. So thank you guys so much, and everyone, thank you for joining us. Hope you have a lovely afternoon, morning, evening. Perfect.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.